create the ER. Before we start creating the ER, let's try to understand what are the components of the ER. First of all, we have the shapes which we will use. We have, let me choose this. Okay. We have the box, and we have the diamond, and we have the, you can call it circle, you can call it ellipse, oval, whatever, and we have lines. These shapes, we will use them to create the ER. What is this? This is the entity set. And here, this is the attribute of the entity. And here is the relationship between entities. Okay. Relationships between what? Between entities. This is an entity set, and here attributes of the entity. Now, let me show you an example, a fast example. The same color. Suppose this is here an entity set and another entity set. First of all, guys, you should know every entity set must have a name. So the name, we write it inside. Suppose this here is department. And this one here, employee. What are the attributes of the employee? We could have many attributes. Let's try to put some. Any suggestions for the attribute? Yes, name, ID, phone or contact, address. That's correct. Let me draw here. One for the ID, one for the name, one for the address, one for the position, one for the contact. Yes, Ranjit, do you want to say anything? I see you raise up your hand. Employee, employee ID. employee name, employee address, employee contacts, employee position or job. So we can have many of different Yusuf. Did I delete it? Emp job. Oh, okay. And no need to rotate all of them. It's clear. So for the department, yes, DOB, hiring date, salary, many of other attributes we can add. For the department, what are suggestions for the department attributes? What Okay, that's correct. We can start with the department number, DEP number, and department name, and maybe department location. We can add other and more upon what exactly we have of data. Okay. Now ليش طفيت الضوء؟ Okay, we can have many of attributes. Now, what is the relation? Guys, the relation is not between the entity set, it's between entity and entity. You have to differentiate between the entity set and entity. The entity set is the title, the group, like department, group of departments, employee, group of employees. But the entity is individual. Each employee is an entity. The entity set, all employees together. The relationship between entity and entity. So, department, you can think of any department. Employee, you can think of any employees, one or more. What is the relationship between them? We have to draw the relationship as a diamond. And we have to connect between the two entity sets. Every relationship must have a name. Like the entity set, it must have a name. Now, what's the relation between employee and department? The employee works in the department. Works. So, works. Yes, it works. Okay. Now, what else? This is the overview. Employee works in department. Employee has ID, name, address, contact, job, blah, blah, blah. The department has department number, department location, department name, and many other things. Before we go on, the candidate key or the primary key for the department is the department number. So I put a line under. Employee ID, I put a line under. Yes. Now, the participation. What is the participation? Participation is how many entity from this side will participate in the relation and from the other side. We have two types of participation: total and partial. Total participation, it means all entities in this side participate in the relationship. Partial, even if one possible entity is not participating, it means partial. So, what exactly it means? Now, employee. Later on, when we convert into real database and we have records of all employees, do you believe any employee will not participate in this relationship? All of them will. Is there any possibility we have an employee in our database but is not working in any department? Yes or no? No. So, this participation here is what? Total. Total participation. How to represent? No, wait. Cranveer. One to many, this is something else. Don't mix things together. Here, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about all employees are participating, or some of them, or one of them may not participate. We agree that all of them are participating. How to represent it in the ER? We have to make this line double line or thick line. It's up to you. It could be double line or thick line. Let me make it double line. That's it. Double line here means total participation. I don't have to say this is a total participation, just represent it by double lines. Now let's look at department. Double line on the side which we decide its total participation. Let's go to other side to decide about it. Department. Is there any department, or do you believe maybe we will have a department which is not involves or participates in this relation? Of course not. How we will have a department without employees? So the relation is total participation from this side as well. It could be thick line or double lines, whatever. So it doesn't mean all relationships will be total participations always. This example, total participation from both sides. Do you understand the participation? We will talk more about the participation. But to decide about the participation, you have to think, is there any entity from this side may not participate? If yes, it's partial. Partial, keep the line single line. If you are sure all of entities from this side participate, it means double line. How you could be sure? Logically, how could you be sure? What do you think? Yes, we have two participations, partial and total. How to decide? Look, from now I'm telling you, you are not the one who decides. The one who decides, the client. You are making the system for who? They have to decide. So you should ask them. Yes. Sometimes you find something against the logic. But that's the request from the client. You have to discuss the client to make sure the client understands. Then if you're sure the client understands and the client wants it as this way, then you have to do it like what the client wants. Okay, now besides participation, what do we have? We have something called cardinality. Cardinality. What does it mean? Let me explain for this example how to decide about the cardinality. Cardinality, guys, you know it, which is one to one, one to many, many to many. Okay. To decide about the cardinality, you have to think of one entity from both sides. It's actually, you have to think of one entity here, department. Pick any department. Think of any department. One department. Yes, it is cardinality. Let me write things here. Participation, total or partial. And cardinality, what does it mean? It means 1 to 1 or 1 to many or many to many. We can say 1 to many to 1 is the same. So we have three types: 1 to 1, 1 to many, or many to many. This is the name of, or these are the types of the cardinality. Okay, how to decide about the cardinality? Let's think about one department. Think about any department. So from this side, I'm talking about one entity, which is one department. The question is, how many employees, how many entity from this side will participate in relation with one? Here it's not about participation in general. Here, let's use another word, not participation. Let's say has a relation. So think of one department, any department. Suppose we are talking about the accounting department. Accounting department, one department. How, it's not about how many, it's, do you believe we will have one employee works for this department, or more than one will work in the department? What do you think? More than one. The department will not be a department unless it has many employees. So one department has many employees. Before you decide, now we will say it's one to many, right? One department, many employees. Okay, don't decide directly. Go to the other side. Now, think of one employee. One employee. Does the one employee work in one department or more than one department? One department. What if the client tells you, my employees are working in multiple departments? So, if the client says the employee works in one department, then the cardinality of this relation is one to many. One to many means one from the department side, many from the employee side. How to represent it? How to represent it? We can write the symbols like here we can write one, and here we can write many. That's it. It's one to many. There is another way of representing. We call it the wrinkles way. You don't need to use both ways. One way is enough. So this is enough. But I will show you the other way in another example. Let's leave it. Suppose, which is not correct, but suppose the employee works in multiple departments. It will be many to many. So we don't use M and M, we use M and N. We will do it in another example. But before we finish this, what if the employee is working in multiple departments but not at the same time? Like, the employee is working for this department. After 2 years, 3 years, the employee moves from this department to that department. And maybe after a while, the employee moves from this department to this department. It could happen or not. Logically, I mean. Okay. So, do you think we need to make it many to many? Because the employee may work in multiple departments. No. No. The answer is no. Or the answer is yes. It depends. It depends on how we are making our database. If we want to show all departments the employee has worked in the same table, it could be many to many, but this is not the case. What we can do, guys, let me show you. We can put here two attributes from two. What does it mean from two? Just a second. Come on. Return back. Okay. Okay. Oh, I hate this software. Okay. From, no need to rotate it. From to, it means from the date the employee starts working at this department to the date the employee moves from or leaves this department. So, when we may have attribute on the relation. Look at this attribute. Let's understand why the attribute on the relation. Do you think from to, which means the date the employee starts working, to the date the employee leaves the department, these two attributes belong to the department or belong to the employee? What do you think? If we put them here, from to, not on the relationship, how can we fill the data here? Always, guys, when we are creating our ER, we have to keep in mind later on when we fill the data. So if we put them here at the employee side, and we are now entering the data of employees. When we reach to employee ID, we know name, address, contact, job, we know. But what does it mean from to? How can we know from and to? From and to of what? From starting working in a particular department to leaves the particular department. So from and to here on the employee are related to a department. And we may have many values for from and many values for to, because maybe the employee moved multiple times from department to department to another department to another department. So I can't put the from to on the employee. Why I don't put them in the department? Definitely not, because they are about the employee, not about the department. The final decision, I find from to belong to the employee in his relationship with the department, not on the employee only. The employee on his relationship with the department, which is works. That's why I have to put it here on the relation. Do you understand? I will not change one to many and make it many to many. It will remain one to many because the employee works for this department from to, doesn't work for multiple departments from to. No. When we change the values the date for from and to, we will find a different department, not the same. Any questions? Okay. Let's have another example. I will delete everything. It's recorded, don't worry. Is there many to one cardinality? Many to one means one to many. It's the same. It depends on how do you look, from which side. Many to one to many is the same. Another example. Let me write the statement, and then from the statement we can understand what do we need to do. Let's keep with employees, and I will explain that each employee has a parking lot number. So the relation between each employee has a parking lot number, but we have in the parking lot of the company more spaces than the number of all employees in the company. Suppose we have this statement. Let's draw. What entities, sets we are talking about? What entities, parking and employees? Yes, so we have the parking lot, we can say parking lot, and employees. Okay. The relationship. Has. Every employee has. and line from here, line from here. Participation. Participation. When we say participation, we have to be specific. Participation, is it partial or total? From which side? Let's start by employees. Total or participation? Employees. Total or participation? Total. How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? From the statement here. From the statement. When you analyze the statement, how do you know it is participation? It is full. It says each. Each. What does it mean, each? It means every, or it means all. So it is total participation. Each employee. What about the employee who doesn't have a car? The statement here didn't say anything about that. It just says each. So each, that's it. When you discussing the client, you can ask the client, how about employees who are not driving? Then the employee will tell you, we have a parking lot for every employee, regardless about the employee is driving or not. Maybe the employee is not driving now, maybe the employee will driving tomorrow. So we already have a parking lot for every employee. So it is partial, it is total. Now, parking lots. Partial or total, and why? Why? How do you know from the statement? It means here it's partial. What in the statement told you it is partial? Exactly. The parking lot of the company has more space. When we say more space, it means some of parking lots not belong to any employee. So yes, it is partial. And no need to make it double lines. So the participation, total, partial. Now, the cardinality. The cardinality, 1 to 1. How do you know? Actually, it is logical. The parking lots here, the one single parking lot, the spot, I mean, the number for the employee, it has one spot for one car. So it is impossible the parking lot here to have more than one car. And for the employee has parking. It says each employee has a parking lot, one. So definitely the relation is one to many. Let me represent one to many this time different way. We put here like a small line. No, this is this line here, a small line like 1, and here we put like fingers, like 3 fingers. So it represents many to 1, 1 to many. Let me make it more clear. I'll make it thick line to represent total participation. Then we have 1 to many. So many here, we will represent it with the fingers. Oops. It's like this, guys. I don't want to keep repeating. It's like this. Yes. Why many? It's 1 to 1. It's because I wanted to show you what and how to represent the 1 to many, but it is not 1 to many. It's 1 to 1. So it's just 1 line here. Okay. 1 to 1. Now, another example. Let's write a statement here. Some employees are working in projects, and these projects are managed by departments. The employee can work in multiple projects at the same time. We have the employee here. Let's create the project. Some employees are working in projects, and these projects are managed by departments. The employee can work in multiple projects at the same time. We have here the project entity set. I didn't want it to be black, and I find it black. Okay, so this is the relation. Project employees. The employee and the project. The employee works. If we have used the name of the relation works, we cannot duplicate it. So we cannot have more than one name for the relationships and entities. So let's say work. Okay, we will use different word for the works. We will use different word for the department and the employee. The employee and the project. Upon this statement, let's think about the participation. Participation. What do you believe? Let's start from the employee side. From the employee side here is partial. Why? Because it's clear. Some employees. Some. This is clear. Partial. How about from this side? Partial or total? From this side. From the project side. And why? How do you know if it's partial or total, and how do you know? Is there anything in the statement indicates it is total or partial? Total or partial? Anything indicates in the statement? The statement here clearly says some employees. So here, partial. Some employees are working in projects, and these projects are managed by departments. The employee can work in multiple projects at the same time. The statement here doesn't indicate if all projects participate or not. But logically, how the project will go without employees? Do you believe maybe we have a project without any employee works in it? How? So the project needs people to work in it. Look, guys, I don't want to confuse you, but this statement here doesn't indicate anything. It's wrong. It is wrong. If I am the one who's talking to the client, I will definitely ask the client this question. The statement here doesn't say all projects have employees or not, but logically how the project can go without employees. On the other hand, what you may don't know, maybe the company is hiring outsources for the project. Here we are talking about employees of the company. So all entities here are employees belong to the company. Maybe the company, for example, have some projects and assign employees from the company to work in these projects, and some other projects they hire outsources. It means not all projects have our employees. We have to be precise. As I mentioned, if I am the one who questioning the client, I will ask about this. So let's go with the logic. Some employees, but all departments. So here is double line. Now let's go to cardinality. What is the relation cardinality? One to one, one to many, many to many. Now, from the employee side, one employee, it's clearly the employee can work in multiple projects at the same time. So one employee can work in multiple projects. Before we decide, let's look from the other direction. The project, does it have one employee or more? Logically, it will have more. So the relation is many to many. How to represent it? We can use the finger or the wrinkles in this way. Okay? So it's many to many. If we want to use numbers and the letters, here it will be 1 to 1, and here it will be N to M. It's up to you. You can use this way or that way. Let's continue. We have department. It's mentioned here. So let's draw the department. What is the relation between the department and, no, it's this one, and here. Let's delete this. Yeah. Managers. The department manages the project. How about participation? Sayed, you have to indicate or to specify the side when you say total, partial. So let's start with project and the relationship. It's total. It's clear, total. How do I know? And these projects are managed by departments. So every single project is managed by a department. All projects are managed by departments. So it is clearly total. Now, is there anything in the statement says all departments are managing projects? No. No, so we take the partial. When you are not sure, take the partial. Maybe some departments are not managing projects, so it is partial. Cardinality. Cardinality. What? Many to many. Many to many. Okay, let's try to analyze the statement. How do you know it's many to many? Didn't mention. It says projects managed by department and by departments. So maybe one department can manage many projects. But the project can be managed by many departments. Okay, look, the employee working in a department. The employee can work in one department only, but the employee can work in multiple projects. Logically, the employee will work in projects which are managed by his department. So the employee working in this department, and this department is managing 3 projects. The employee can work in these 3 projects. The statement is not clear, but at least we can say it's one too many, but maybe correct, maybe not. We should ask the client. It could be one too many, it could be many too many. It's not a must upon the statement here. It's not clear 100% it's one too many. It's just I think it's one too many. And in this case, we should ask the client. We must not decide from our own. Okay. Okay, guys. I will stop the screen recording.